Worry. When I was little, it was stuff like, will I be able to fall asleep on Christmas Eve so that Santa can finally come? Or will I be able to decide which sport to play when the Vikings and the Yankees both draft me? Or will I be smart enough, brave enough, cool enough? Can life be happy? Of course, as I hit my teens, the questions began to change a bit. I realized being 5'9" or so, with average speed and small hands, was not getting me drafted by anyone. I realized that Santa was sneaky enough to get into the house without my knowing it, and that he even occasionally appreciated my help. And I eventually realized, after feeling woefully inadequate in my country, hick town surroundings, where I had to hide the fact that I liked music more than hunting and thought acoustic guitars sounded prettier than searing electrics, even though I liked all those things, that someday if I could just let myself be myself, I could give up the worry, the insecurity, the sadness of feeling it would never be enough. I even remember the day I realized this could be true. And yeah, it's a guy thing. It's kind of silly, kind of immature. But for me at that point, it was real. We had a McDonald's, the only one around for miles. And I was a junior in high school, and I was there with friends, and it was Thanksgiving break, and in walked two kids who had gone away to college that year. I'd been in a play with both of them. She was a cheerleader, very popular. He had been, well, he was a good actor, but he was a complete nerd. And that is a badge kids rightfully wear with pride nowadays, but back then, it wasn't a good thing. If you threw him a ball, it was going to hit him in the face. I did once. If you made him run, the less said the better. He was everything a guy where I grew up was not supposed to be. And they were on a date. And she was delighted. And I realized that night, and you have to remember, yeah, I was 16, I was immature, I was not given to long periods of logical thought. But I realized that if he could get her to go on a date with him, maybe I'd be okay. Of course, even as I had begun to see the path, it wasn't easy. I had not been raised to be self-confident. I'd been raised to be humble, a little too humble, I realized years later. For it's hard to be free from worry when you interpret even a quiet moment of satisfaction as misplaced or even evil pride. But I kept trying, and I kept failing, and no matter what I did, I found something else would rise and block my path. But eventually I found the secret. And as I share it with you this night, even as you've heard it before, even as we can all mouth the words, even as I share it with you this night, I recognize that you might still think the answer is, as I thought, totally absurd. Because the answer is to stop trying. The answer to how to find joy, peace, happiness, you stop trying to find it. And you let it find you. Stop worrying about you. Stop trying to act just the right way. Stop trying to prove something. And let it all find you. This is what Jesus was saying when he said, don't worry about your life. Don't worry about what you wear. Look at the birds. Look at the lilies. God gives them what they need. God makes them beautiful. Of course, Jesus wasn't saying everyone has enough or there aren't real problems in life. But if everyone lived this way, Well, we wouldn't hoard things. And there would be enough, because there would be a lot more sharing. You see, looking at this from the personal, individual aspect, which is how I think Jesus intends this, we find the key. When we allow ourselves to worry about our life, we're mostly allowing ourselves to dwell in the notion that we have control of our lives. And we don't. Not really of anything. There are no promises in life. We might not make it home tonight. Any number of things could strike us down in the next days, weeks, months, or years. But if we release control and recognize it's all in God's hands, we find what we're looking for. This passage that we read tonight, as you might have heard me say before, is a passage that if you read it to a Buddhist, if you read it to a Hindu, if you read it to a member of many different practices or faiths, well, it's a passage that makes them sit right up and say, who is this Jesus guy? Because this is the kind of statement only enlightened folks make. But you know, Jesus, he was kind of all that. And it's also like the 12-step programs say. Let go and let God. This is the point. Things happen. We don't know why. Some of them are good. Some of them are bad. But when we stop worrying about the why, when we stop trying to figure it all out, when we accept the mystery and stop trying to figure out how we could have made it different, when we stop blaming ourselves or even God when things aren't perfect, we learn. We grow. We even find reason in some of the most painful situations to find joy. Because we begin to also understand that God's answer will be the final one. And God's answer is always joy. And we begin to see that if we strive first for the kingdom of God, our joy will be made complete. If we'll just let go and accept the simple truth that we are all, really all, accepted, loved, right in God's eyes. And truly, what could be better than that? What greater reason to be thankful?